So we are talking about functions day 2. Okay, so there's not much that's going to change between what we talked about day 1 and day 2. So let's remind you what we did on day 1. So remember, function notation, y equals x plus 2. When we put it in function of x, or f of x, okay, it's f parentheses x equals the same problem. It doesn't change any, okay? You can have it in any letter though. It could be g of x, or it could be k of n, like it is in this one, okay? So it doesn't have to be specific. Another thing, remember you've got Dixie-Void, domain, input, x-axis, independent. That's all about your domain. Okay, your range, your void, range is output, y-axis, and it's dependent. Okay, and then just a reminder, domain and range, it's x comma y. So when you're looking at them, they have to be from the lowest to the highest, and with no repeating numbers when we're talking about our range, our domain and our range. Okay, so if I was given the table of x and then f of x, and I had -3, -2, 0, 1, and I've got -1, 0, 2, 3. Okay, that's where we're starting. And our first question we want to ask is, what is our domain or our input? So if I'm looking at this table, what's my domain?
I don't remember what domain is.
Wait, I remember it's
Color page.
Let's look back. Dixie-Void. Dixie, domain, input, x-axis, independent. So when I'm looking at it, is it my x's or my y's? So if I'm looking at my domain here, which one's my domain? My x's or my y's?
X.
My x's. It's got to be from lowest to highest. So my lowest number of my x's is? -3. Then what?
-2.
Then what?
0.
And finally? That's it. That's all it's asking for when it's asking for our domain or our input. Okay? Now remember, they mean the same thing. Okay? So if I'm looking for my range or my output, this would be, what's my lowest value of my range or output?
-1.
-1. Next,
0.
then, and that's it. Okay, so my range, my output is my f of x. My domain, my input is my x's. Okay, are there any questions? Now, there's another way you can rewrite this in function notation. So you can rewrite the ordered pairs in function notation. Okay, so remember, function notation is our f of x equals something. So when I'm looking at this, okay, and I look at my first ordered pair of -3, -1, I'm looking for f of my x equals my y. So I can plug in f of -3 is equal to -1.
And that's the answer, right?
That would be the answer. Rewriting the ordered pair into function notation, this is it. Okay? You're just putting your x's where the x is, and because remember function notation, f of x and y equal the same thing. So when I say f of x equals, well, when, this is saying like when x is -3, what is y? Okay, so if I look at my next one, if I look at f of -2, it's going to equal what?
0.
0.
Yeah. I got scared because I thought I lost my phone.
This is not super difficult. Okay. Now, if we are given, do I need to go over any more examples of these, or do you got it? Got it. Okay. If I'm given, say like I've got f of x equals 2x minus 3. And I want to find the value of when x is -4, 5, 7, and 10. This should just be a reminder from what we went over on Friday. Okay? So, what I can do is I can have 2, I plug in my -4, and then I have -3, and that's going to equal my f of x value. So 2 times -4 is -8, minus 3 is -11. And so you can do this with all of these problems. What am I doing? I'm so stupid. Don't look at this. Don't. I'm wrong. I don't know why I'm changing this. This is all wrong. You're welcome. Miss Morgan makes mistakes. There's your proof. This should all be 2. That should all be 2. My bad. Okay. So I say 2 times 5 is 10, minus 3 is 7. 2 times 7 is 14, minus 3 equals 11. 2 times 10 is 20, minus 3 equals 17.
So the answer is just f times 17 squared times 3.
So this is like, this would be like your y value here. Okay, so I just took my f of x, what this is equal to here, and plugged in my x values. Now, there is an easier way to do this. We can put this in the calculator. Okay, so in the calculator, you're going to go to the on. I'm not going to push that. Okay. So my calculator is on. It's going to take a second to turn on. So press on. Okay, and when you're at this home screen right here, okay, because a lot of the times you'll be in this calculate menu, and that's why it says to press on again to go to on, to go to this menu. Okay, then you're going to press 1. Or go to new. Okay, so that's new over here. Okay, don't save it. Whatever it is, you can just click no. And then we're going to add a graph. So we're going to press 2, which is add graph. Okay, so I've got my f1 of x. So this is saying the first function of x. Okay, And you're gonna type in your equation. Okay, except for the equal sign. Except like f of x equals or y equals. So for this case, it's just going to be 2x minus 3. So I put in 2, and then all of my letters are down here. Push x, and then minus 3. Don't use my negative sign, use my minus sign. Okay? And then you should press enter. And it graphed it for you. Okay. So this is great. I can see my graph, but I don't really care about my graph right now. I'm looking specifically for my table. So how to look for my table? There are two options. You can press menu 7-1 or Control T. Okay, so menu 7-1 is going to be just menu 7. It goes down the table, and then 1. And if you see this Control T, that's just a shortcut. So if you can't remember it, Control T, just do menu 7-1, and it'll give me my split screen. This is your table for this function. So instead of doing all the math here, you can simply go, well, I'm going to go up to when x is -4, and my y should equal 11. Does my y equal 11, -11 there?
Yes.
I can go to 5, and all I'm doing is moving up and down with my up and down arrows. And my y is 7. When my x is 7, my y is 11. When my x is 10, my y is 17. Any questions?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Can you move the, wait, what is it, control? Okay.
Control T.
But you only enter the numbers, like in the table.
They're already there.
They should already be there.
Oh.
So like when you go, so Control T also will get you out of this. You can also get back to the graph. But if you push your Control T or menu 7-1, your x's should already be in there with your y values. Okay, last thing. And this is a reminder just because I don't want to draw a whole graph and have us look at it. But you will have some graphs on your assignment today. So if I've got my graph, remember my horizontal line is my x-axis, my vertical line is my y-axis. Okay, and what I would do if I had these random points here, okay, is I would create your own table. So create a table from the graph. Okay, so that you can have your points lined up and you can figure out your domain and range from there. Okay, are there any questions with any of that? Comments, concerns?
I'm confused on the calculator for us.
I can help you with the calculator in a minute. Any other questions?